Hi guys, this is Hannah and my name is Abby. We're making a video for Beyond Walls.
Yeah.
Beyond the church walls, actually.
Beyond the church walls, people.
Oh my god, I know. Okay, so we have a number of topics to talk about, but in this video we're going to be talking about being a pastor's kid, right? So if your parents are officers, right?
My parents are officers in the Salvation Army, which means that they are currently pastoring a church in Oshawa, Canada.
Okay. So I grew up as a pastor's kid, actually. So my grandpa is a senior pastor, and then my dad also became a pastor, and my mom has always been into mission work. So I feel like we have quite a number of things in common.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Finding new things about each other every day.
Mm-hmm. So how's it been like for you being a pastor's kid? I think we should divide it to being a pastor's kid. How is it like being a pastor's kid in church? Like, people know that you're the officer or the pastor's child, and I believe there are expectations and so many things. Then being a pastor's kid outside of church, like they still expect you to be a certain. So I think we should start with the first one.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's it's so funny how different those two places are as a pastor's kid, because in church, like, everyone wants to know about your life.
Yeah.
Right?
And you have to be like that role model kind of.
Right. It's so true. You have to be a role model to other youth. You're expected to be that way. And people want to know about your life. And I mean, I get it, like your pastors are the people who are leading you spiritually. So I mean, I have 3 sisters. So a family of girls, and we're all very dramatic. And so that also makes a little bit of sense that people want to know about our lives, because it's interesting, I suppose. But that was a hard thing for us, I think, because just trying to set up boundaries for us and for each other, and to protect each other and to protect our parents.
Yeah. Too,
because church life can be complicated. I mean, I loved growing up in church, and I loved growing up with my parents as pastors.
Yeah. I think for me also, it wasn't so hard for me because first, it isn't, am I speaking bad English? It's not so hard for me because I actually love God. So if I don't love God and I'm being asked to do all of these things, it's like you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do or be a part of. But in this situation, I actually love the God that you're asking me to serve. So it's easier for me because it's something I love anyway. Right. So, but being a pastor's kid in church can be, I must be honest, there's a lot of pressure because people expect you to be a certain way. When nobody wants to raise up their hand, maybe they're asking a question and no one wants to, they expect you to maybe support your family and raise up your hand. They expect you to be in service unit, maybe you're in choir or you just be useful in the vineyard, kind of. So there are a lot of expectations. They also expect you to be a role model to other youths in church. So they should be able to see you and say, hey, why didn't you be like Hannah? And so it's been, it was actually a lot of pressure. I was in different service units. I was, not because my parents asked me to be in those units. Maybe they asked me to be in one, but I put myself in more units because I love those things.
Right.
Like, I love acting. I love singing. I love speaking to people. So you find me in teenagers' church trying to speak to people. I'm a teenager myself, but I'm speaking with all the teenagers. I'm so crazy.
No, but that's so true, because and it's not even just being forced to do something, but it's loving to do it. Yeah. And then, doing all those things. Like, I remember in church, for me, we had something called Timbrels in the Salvation Army. Yeah. Timbrel Brigade. And I loved leading the young kids in Timbrels. But there got to a point where it got to be a little bit too much because I was doing all these other things, right? Yeah, yeah. So I think it's in our DNA to overwork ourselves as pastors' kids. I think because we see it modeled, right? I mean, pastors are doing so much, right? Yeah. And serving all the time. So I think it's what we see, it's what we do.
Mm-hmm. So we can move on to the next one now. Being a pastor's kid outside of church, when nobody's watching.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's a completely different place, because I think that there's either 2 different things that happen. Either people expect you to be really judgmental and pure, and you don't want to have any fun, or people expect you to be the worst of the worst. So, like, I had both. Like, I had people expect both of me. Mostly the goody two-shoes, because I think that that's really more who I was. But again, there were seasons where, you know, I would doubt, or I would kind of do things that, you know, typical pastors' kids, I guess, wouldn't. And those were challenging times because there was an extra layer of judgment, even from non-Christians who were like, look at this pastor's kid. Yeah, like, what are you doing? Come on.
And you're a pastor's kid.
Right,
Yeah, I know. It's going to be so annoying. So it's like, even people outside, even when you're trying to counsel someone, it's like, oh, you're telling me this because you're a pastor's kid and you expect it to be perfect. No, I'm telling you this because I'm human and I know God. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Really, I just want to have a normal conversation without you bringing up the fact that I'm trying to preach to you. No, I'm not trying to be like my parents here. Like, right. I'm just trying to make friends and, you know, help you as I'm helping myself. And I feel like a lot of people also assume that pastors' kids have everything together, and that's not true, because you also
it's not true.
You also have things you're dealing with because you're a normal teenager. You go to teenagehood, adulthood, all of that. So what some teenagers find as difficult things, you might actually find it too. That's the age where you also fall in love or start having boyfriends or thinking about it, you know. That's the same age where some teenagers are talking back to their parents, but you probably, maybe on your first attempt of talking back, you stop it because, well, they give you the word. The word of God. Right? So but overall, I think being a pastor's kid has been a blessing to me because it kind of like dropped me in the circle, like in the middle of it all. So just as a pastor's kid, you're in church. Now I'm in church, I'm figuring out the fact that who am I going to church to meet? I'm going to meet God, and then I'm serving God. So it's been like, even now that my dad is not here, my mom is not a pastor here, but I still have it in me to go to church, to still serve. I'm not under pressure here, but I'm still doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just part of who you are.
And you also singing in a church that is not hers because, well,
it's just part. Yeah. And I agree with you that, like, I've loved growing up as a pastor's kid. Like, it's been a blessing. And I think I was listening when I was younger, I heard this podcast or something where someone was like, there's a difference with your parents, you know, being churchgoers and being in ministry. Those who are in ministry, like, that has a super huge effect on the kids. Because it's all about serving and doing, and I mean, that's not the entirety of our faith, thank goodness. but I'm so blessed to have two parents that also just talked to us all about a deep relationship with Jesus, and so that has had a huge impact on my faith. And now, you know, being able to go to my parents and talk to them about my questions and my doubts, and they've always been open to that stuff too, because that's one of the cool things about having pastors as parents, because that's what they do as a job. They talk with people about it, right?
Yeah, true.
And they're very wise people. So I've loved having that as a resource in my life. And
I can always tell my mom and call her and tell her about the dreams I have, the visions, because I know she will understand it because she's been there. She does that, right? So it's a blessing, actually, especially if you desire to go further with your faith. And also because they've laid a foundation. So they've kind of made you see things that are possible in the faith. You know?
Right. So true.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
I hope you've learned one or two things. This is Anna Banana once again. And I am Abby Sola.
Did you forget your name?
Yeah, I'm like, Abby. What's my name? Okay.
Thanks for joining.
See you.